Breakfast at Tiffany's is considered a classic Hollywood movie. Its success was pinned to the charm of Audrey Hepburn in her little black dress and other fashion outfit that she carried so gracefully and elegantly throughout the movie. Even her nightgown in orange is a fashion statement. However, if we ignore the fashion side of the movie, many may feel that it was a boring and disoriented work with flat characters and a confusing plot. Also, at the same time, many are still in love with Breakfast at Tiffany's and Miss Hepburn's character Holly Golightly. Let's dig deep into what kind of character Holly Golightly is behind the fame and the fashion. The movie is based on a novella of the same name by Truman Capote. It revolves around a young woman named Holly Golightly, who is a wannabe socialite in 60s New York. She looked absolutely gorgeous and a vision in that little black dress with those pearls and her statement sunglasses and her croissant. But how was the movie exactly? Is Audrey Hepburn's character really good except for fashion? We'll see it in this video today. Most of the movie happens in the apartment where Holly lives. In the opening scene, we see her searching for her keys outside the building and then ringing her landlord to open up the gate and let her in.
Oh, hi.
What happened to you anyway?
The story begins when a struggling writer, Paul Warjack, comes to live in the same building. And from here we come to know about Holly through her interactions with Paul, whom she calls Fred, as he reminds her of her brother Fred. Since the first scene, we are enchanted by her calm and welcoming gesture where she lets him enter her room without any hesitation and also unusually friendly towards him. The strange state of her room and her things scattered around, hidden in strange places, shows that she is not very good at keeping things tidy. She even confirms it to Paul. We know that she is not like any other girls, but yet we are attracted to her because she is beautiful, has high-end clothes, and possesses a witty charm. She is so open, confident, and happy about herself that she talks to Paul like they have known each other for years.
I never could do that.
Behind her eccentric and strange behavior, it is established that she is a good girl. Even when she climbs into Paul's window and spends the night sleeping on his bare chest, she is at ease and has a weird confidence when it should be awkward for two people who have never met the day before. Earning the lifestyle. Holly is a sweet, charming, and straightforward girl. Her goal in life is to find a rich guy to marry and settle down with him. She is always on the lookout for rich men, as we see her in her own party. She gets excited by seeing Rusty Trawler, the richest man under 50 in the US. Holly then leaves her own party to accompany him out in the night. That is her entertainment and her job for that night. She uses her sweet nature and feminine energy to attract rich guys, and they give her money or shower her in gifts and jewelry. That is how she manages to keep her apartment and her lifestyle. She also works for a convicted drug smuggler, Sally Tomato, whom she regularly visits in the prison and delivers his messages in the form of weather report to his accomplices, and in return gets some money for her efforts. Strange thing is that she is content in knowing just that and nothing more, happy with the money side of it. However, it is ridiculous to think that she can afford her lifestyle between accompanying rich men and helping Sally, but she is making it work somehow. Lula May and Holly. Paul encounters an elderly man named Doc in front of his building. Doc seems like Holly's father, but he claims to be her husband, and he calls her Lula May. Paul at first doesn't believe him, but later realizes that the man is telling the truth because Doc details the account of Holly and her brother. He also tells Paul that she was 14 when Doc asked her to marry him and she had said yes, not out of desperation but out of curiosity. But her free spirit can't be tied to Doc's farm, and she runs away to New York after her brother Fred joins the army.
Night I proposed, I cried like a baby. She said, "What do you want to cry for, Doc? Of course we'll be married. I've never been married before."
Now her husband has come to take her back and he truly loves Holly. Paul seems to be in conflict but has no choice than to agree with Doc. Holly on the other hand reacts very differently. She is actually delighted to see Doc. This shows that she truly is an honest and charming lady. She doesn't avoid Doc or is rude to him. Instead, she is very happy to see him again.
Kingdom come.
Doc and Holly take Paul to the bus stand. The married couple is going back to Texas, but Holly wants Paul to help her in letting Doc down because she doesn't want to go back. She doesn't want to face him alone when she rejects him. In the end, she tells her husband that she is not going back with him. She has no place in that world and she is not that girl anymore. Her life, her world, her name is different from that of Doc.
Please, Doc, please understand. I love you, but I'm just not Lula May anymore.
Typical Hollywood romance. The next time we see Holly, she is in her apartment. Paul discovers that her rich man, Rusty, has got married, but not to Holly. Her plan has failed. However, Holly does not seem to be quite fazed by it. She tells Paul that Rusty was actually broke and he had to marry a rich heiress in order to save himself from bankruptcy. But she is not too upset by it and already ready to explore other options.
Now, I've got a wonderful idea. We could spend the whole day doing things we've never done before. We'll take turns. For something you've never done, then me.
Holly and Paul later go out for a perfect little date. She takes Paul to the Tiffanys, one of her favorite places. Tiffanys is Holly's getaway destination. The diamond jewelry house is a symbol of her unachievable dream of shopping there. It gives her a sense of hope and assurance that her life is as beautiful as the beautiful things she sees in that shop.
Isn't it wonderful? Do you see what I mean? How nothing bad could ever happen to you in a place like this? It isn't that I give a hoot about jewelry except diamonds, of course.
It gives her a sense of calm and serenity. She tells Paul that she will settle down if she finds a place which will make her feel like Tiffany's, a home of pride and comfort. It's her desire to rise above her life of struggle and settle into wealth and style. Since they can't afford anything in the shop, Holly and Paul get a cheap ring engraved there. Later, they visit a public library and a knick-knack shop where they steal some masks just to experience the thrill of shoplifting. Here we see the classic falling in love happening. It's a surprise as their so-called date seems like they're just two random people doing random things together. But we know that this is going to happen. We have seen this in so many movies. The lead couple is supposed to magically fall in love by spending one wonderful day together. And this time too, it happens as they share a passionate kiss at the end of the day and our hopeful romance trope is complete. The conflict. Paul doesn't hear from Holly for days, nor is she seen in her apartment. At last, he found her in the public library. She was reading about South American culture. She tells Paul she is going to marry Jose, the Brazilian diplomat who came with Rusty Trawler in that infamous party. Paul is once again heartbroken, and as an audience, we are also heartbroken with him after hearing this. He declares his love to her almost in demanding fashion, but she shows indifference. It means that even though she is romantically interested with the writer, she is hell-bent on marrying a rich guy and Paul isn't one. She hasn't forgotten her goal to get married to live a wealthy and rich lifestyle. However, this makes Paul very angry and he calls her many names, but she doesn't relent, and they separate with a broken heart. The climax. The next time they meet each other in her apartment, she is in a hurry. We get to know that she is moving away to Brazil with Jose, the Brazilian diplomat. He's going back home and taking her with him, but he hasn't proposed to her yet. However, she is so sure of their marriage proposal that she is learning Portuguese, reading about his culture, and cooking Brazilian food. She is even knitting a scarf for him. She is so committed to her goal that she is following Jose all the way to the other end of the world and leaving everything behind.
You're going somewhere?
I'm going to Rio tomorrow. I've got the plane ticket and I've even said goodbye to old Sally.
Jose's flying down with you.
Well, we're going on separate planes, of course. He doesn't think it would look right for us to be traveling together.
She believes this is her chance of making her dream come true by marrying Jose. She looks so hopeful and happy that Paul is happy for her. But her dream cut short when Paul and Holly are arrested for being accomplices to Sally Tomato, the drug peddler. Considering this is bound to happen someday, Holly is not too upset over it. Rather, she seems to be enjoying the stardom. She is giving interviews to the press and posing for the photos like she is having fun in the limelight. She is not at all worried. She has faith that everything will work out just fine, which eventually does, with the help of O.J. Berman. O.J. Berman is the talent agent who once wanted to make her a Hollywood star, but on the night of her audition, she chose to fly to New York just for the fun of it. She calls Holly a real phony and tells Paul to take care of her. This is the charm of Miss Golightly. Nobody can be mad at her for doing such mad things. Everyone loves her and she knows the effect she has on everyone. She is the it girl. She doesn't care for anybody's impression of her. This is why she is so carefree about the arrest and eventually does get bailed out by Berman. The conclusion. Her happiness is short-lived as she learns that Jose has dumped her overnight after learning about her arrest because her reputation can tarnish his and his family's name. Her hope of a wealthy marriage shatters once again, but she is still adamant in flying to Brazil despite her breakup. After Paul gives her Jose's message, Holly still wants to go Brazil to experience the place and find a rich man there. Her explanation is that she couldn't be tied to people or places, that people don't belong to each other. Paul declares that he still loves her, but it doesn't faze her at all. It shows her fear of commitment and her refusal to plant her roots. Under her carefree, all smiles persona, there is a little girl scared of getting hurt. She believes if she gives the control of her life to someone else, she will lose herself and her self-worth. She doesn't want to get attached to anyone because if they leave her, she will not be affected as much. That is why she refuses to name her pet cat, because she thinks it doesn't belong to her, like she doesn't belong to the cat. But in the end, we see that she goes back to find the cat she left out of the cab, because the movie wanted us to show that wherever she goes, she is going to get attached, and simply running away won't fix her problems. Only true love will. In a classic Hollywood fashion, Holly gets out of the cab and runs after Paul. She magically finds the cat in the back alley and kisses her lover in the rain. This is the happy ending we have expected. A happy ending where love fixes every problem anybody can have. All Holly needs is a true love's kiss to be free from her curse. Now we can go home dreaming happily ever after for the both of them. The movie tries to tell us that Holly is changed and has come to her senses. All she needed was to open her eyes and accept love. But the question arises whether she will be happy settling with a struggling writer. We discard her dream of becoming rich and shop in Tiffanys. How she will fit into the role of a happy little wife when she not only lacks the necessary skills but also fails to understand the basic of that relationship. The writer is in love with her because of her fashionable clothes, her beauty, her charm, her kindness, and her compassionate nature. She is the it girl who wins hearts wherever she goes, so it's easy for him to fall for her, but it is difficult for her to reciprocate those feelings. Will she give up her butterfly attitude and settle with someone who she never intended to be together with? Will he able to provide her the comfort, the security she was looking for in her life? And will she finally realize that there is so much more her life has to offer than to just indulge and live extravagantly? Will he accept her carefree attitude and her frivolous nature? And will she accept his expectations from her? We have come a long way from such romantic notions of happy ending and true love's kisses. We know that it can't fix our problems, but nevertheless, we crave for such characters and such movies. Holly Golightly is a character which we find within us, hopeful and dreamy. Breakfast at Tiffany's was a huge success. It made Audrey Hepburn a fashion icon and dream girl of Hollywood. The movie is very enjoyable and it takes us back to an era where everything was perfect, everything was beautiful, or everything became perfect in the end.